edition of the Mortgage Madness. What is it? State of the Union, State of the Mortgage Industry. We are here to talk turkey, Jordan. What are the latest numbers in Arizona?
Well, by now everybody knows that Fed Chair Jerome Powell came out here a couple of days ago, the end of July, and made some statements that the Fed's objectives still have not been met. Despite dramatically cooling inflation data, the inflation data is coming down nicely, just as you would want it to. But the Fed insists that it's not enough, and they've raised rates again by another quarter point. It was the 11th rate hike in this cycle. That's insane, 11. The highest that the Fed funds rate have been in 22 years. So pretty significant development on that front. For those of you who don't fully understand mortgage rates and their correlation with the Fed funds rate, the Fed funds rate is more of like an intrabank lending rate. So they don't exactly directly correlate. In the mortgage market, that hike had already kind of been priced in. So we're still hovering, like, sad to say, but like in the sevens, guys. I mean, can you get below 7? You can, and FHA loans before below, but we're still consistently in higher rates, and it looks like we're going to be there for a little bit longer. So the nice thing is based on his comments, it sounds like that we could be at the peak of this cycle. The next meeting is not for another 45 days. A lot of data is going to come out between now and then. The only thing that's scary is that fuel prices seem like they're going back up, and so there is going to be a little bit of headwind that the inflation data is going to have to overcome, but I still think that it should give the Fed enough reason to pause, but we'll see. So
hopefully. I think, to get into the weeds, right? Because that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
The crazy part about it is, like, their whole comments and everything they're doing, right, related to employment, related to raising rates, they're making it more costly for borrowers, for people to borrow money, live their lives, but yet the federal government is spending like no other.
Right.
They're fueling inflation, so they're going to spend, but they're telling you somehow through interest rates essentially to stop spending. Mm-hmm. And so I just, like, depending on what sectors they measure, right, and we kind of know which ones they are, right, housing is one that they weigh heavily, that we expect to come down, right? Rent increases have kind of slowed, and, hopefully rates start to come down. Those housing payments are going to start dropping, which should technically help the inflation number around housing, but the federal government is spending everywhere else. They're making everything more expensive across the board for consumers. So, that's the scary part. That's like the we don't know what's going to happen kind of moment right now, because, like, if inflation even ticks up or stays flat, that's bad for this whole situation. Or if we have some good job numbers, that's why it's like every week, like the last couple of days, we've had a bad couple of days in the mortgage world because jobs reports, because layoffs were down. So we got to be careful. We do think we're approaching the peak, but there's also probably some turbulent months ahead of us here.
Yeah, we're not quite out of the weeds, but I still think, and most experts would agree, that in the next 6 to 12, possibly could take up to 18 months, we should see a drop in rates. Now, some of you might be thinking, like, oh, sweet, are we going to see 3% again? I just think the 3% range we may never see again. The 3% range, if it does come to fruition, it's probably like a 24-month out type of a deal. But would you say, Gavin, that in the next 12 months, say, I would think by the spring of 2024, do we see rates in the 5s? I would think yes.
It's totally possible, yeah.
It should be.
Yeah.
Unless the just inflation data persists and somehow the economy keeps chugging along with these higher rates. I just think that the longer rates persist this high, like, it's going to have a dramatic effect on businesses, specifically small business.
Yeah.
Like, it's not going to be good.
I think when the official pause comes in, we're going to definitely get into the 6s, mid to low 6s, right? That normal spread that we see between the 10-year and mortgage rates will kind of resume. I think for us to get into the fives, we're going to have to see the reversal, right? We're going to have to see when they start cutting rates again.
Yeah, for people who don't really understand what you mean by the spread between the 10-year and the MBS, maybe explain that, because I think that's valuable information, because the 10-year Treasury is a publicly traded, it's out there for everybody to see.
Yeah, so the typical spread, and it's not always this, but like normally mortgage rates are going to hover somewhere about 2% higher than wherever the 10-year is trading. So if the 10-year is trading today, it's at 405, right? We would expect in a normal situation for mortgage rates to be around 605 right now. That's kind of what the market, normal market conditions would dictate that. The reason why we don't have that is because of all this uncertainty around where the Fed is going with rates. And so investors, there's a lot of fear, and so they have to bake their hedge into that cost right now. And that's why we're seeing rates well above, right? We're seeing 3.5, sometimes even more in that spread between where mortgage rates are and where that 10-year is. So the moment we see a pause and the fear can start alleviating, that normal 2% spread should kind of resume. So I think that's where we're going to get the pullback.
That would get the first big pullback, I think, is the signal that, hey, the pause is here, and then maybe there started to be chatter that should they cut?
Exactly.
And
those cuts.
The discussion isn't should we raise rates, it's should we cut rates, the pause, and I think that's where you'll immediately see like that 1% drop in mortgage rates.
100%.
So,
and then we got to look for the cuts.
Yeah.
So,
and then you get the cuts, and it's those two things. One will get us out of the sevens and safely into the low sixes, and then the cut gets us back into the fives. I mean, that's kind of the way I think we see this thing playing out.
Yeah. I think though we've got a lot of positive things going on in the market right now. Home appreciation is actually up nationally. So I think it was Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. They both predicted a 4% decline in 2023 nationally for home values. We've actually seen the opposite. They've revised their projections, and I think from Q1 to Q2 it was like 3.4%, a 3.4% gain we actually saw. So home prices are remaining resilient. If you're waiting for a recession, for a pullback, I think you're going to be waiting a long time. I don't think that's going to happen, and I think you've missed it if you're waiting. So
let's get into a little data before we explain that point. But so the current listings in Maricopa County. So this for our Arizona listeners. So in Maricopa County, there's currently 8,378 homes listed. Guys, that is only about 1.5 to 2 months supply of homes. That is not a normal, traditional, healthy market. Most people would say a healthy market is like a 3 to 4 months listings. So think about that, and it has been interesting to see in Q1 the market was soft because Q4 of 2022 was soft because there was a lot of uncertainty, but things have just kind of picked back up, and now you're starting to see this kind of accelerated pace and this kind of almost like a panic, like, well, I need to buy it anyway because as soon as rates come down, the buyers are going to come back out. But
weren't we up to like 20,000? We were over 20,000 at one point. So to be down at 8,000 something, 8,700, but then we've also got, what was it, 5,500, 5,800 pending. So of those 8,700, like 2/3 of them are already under contract.
Well, those are active, not under contract.
Oh, okay. And then there's another. Okay, I see what you're saying. So, but still, like the activity is heavy. There's people buying for what's on the market.
Yeah, and typically, for people who don't know, in Maricopa County, Arizona, July is probably the slowest, I think probably one of the slowest months of the year in transactions, just because so many people leave.
Yeah.
They get out of the heat. They don't want to be here. I mean, if you've ever been house shopping at 115 degrees, getting in and out of a car, it's not necessarily a pleasant experience.
No. We go on vacation. We get out of Arizona for July. It's just a thing we do.
Yeah, if you can.
Yeah.
You want out.
You
want out. So all those things said, guys, I think when you look at the state of housing and mortgage, the mortgage business is still chugging along. There are great mortgage products. Rates are higher, but will they persist and sustain these levels? I think they will for the next little bit, but this market, it's not going to be sustainable keeping rates this high for too long before things really break. So I don't think that's the Fed's intention. Hopefully it's not to break everything.
Yeah.
So we anticipate, hopefully, we'd love to see it in 6 months, to be honest. it may take as many as 12 before we see some relief. Fed Chair Powell, in his remarks post decision, did mention that he didn't anticipate there being cuts until 2024. And so that's why I'm kind of taking him for his word and thinking it might be like in that 9 to 12 month window that we finish 2023 without any cuts.
We just need a few bank failures. That'll fix everything.
Few more bankruptcies, bank failures, that kind of thing.
Yeah. No, but if you are not, I mean, if you're someone who's in the market, if you think, sometime in the next 1 to 2 years you might want to buy, or you're still sitting on the sideline waiting for home prices to pull back, go check out a home builder right now. Go talk to them about what their prices were 2 months ago, because they've raised prices. They're raising prices, increasing prices every 3 or 4 sales again, just like they were 2 years ago. So the activity is heavy. Builders are getting a big share of the business right now because existing homes, people are holding on to them. They've got their nice 2-3% mortgage and they're not going to sell. So home builders are where people are looking right now. There's good opportunities there. But just if you want to get a little snapshot of what the market's doing, talk to them, because they're increasing their prices again. And I think that's the trend right now. There's just not enough homes. When those rates come down, the rate's going to kind of look ugly right now. That payment might be a little scary, but if you can swing it, I think it would be advantageous to do it now so that we can refinance you at today's price in 6 to 12, 18 months, whatever it ends up being.
Yeah, that's the nice thing. So a lot of people who are kind of been sitting on the sidelines with this idea, it's based on there's going to be a market crash like there was in 2007-8. Having been a lender during that time frame, this market's completely different. And I know we've talked about it before, but the inventory level is one thing. The people are sitting on tremendous amounts of equity. And this quick reversal that we've seen in home price appreciation just signals that there's not going to be a coming crash. I mean, sure, could crazy things happen, World War III, our economy completely comes crashing down. I mean, all those things are possible. Aliens, they did talk about aliens coming, who knows? But what I do say is if life remains normal, as we call normal, home prices are going to appreciate.
Yeah. And
there's not going to be a coming crash. You may right now be able to get a good deal. I know, if you're looking up in the mountain, up in Show Low, Pine Top, looking for a second home, cabin, place to get out of the heat, there's some good deals to be found up on the mountain. But here in the valley, I'm just not seeing it. So you marry the house, you don't marry the rate. And knowing that rates are going to come down, it's like, hey, if you can stomach this payment for the next 24 months in your mind, are you going to get payment relief 24 months from now? I would say absolutely.
Yeah.
So I would bet the house on it, but not legal advice or financial advice.
Not your house or mine. If you got any questions beyond that, hit us up. Let us know. We'd be happy to dig into it further. We'll continue to post these every month, just about the state of the union, we're calling it, the state of the mortgage industry, the real estate world, for what we know. And if you got any questions, great, let us know. Otherwise, subscribe, follow, comment, and we look forward to chatting with you next time.
Sweet. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.